How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another supporters club, a big supporters club today. We're halfway through the 21-22 season and Arsenal are sitting in the top 4. Happy days all around. I'm with a few of the regulars, lead judges, Stricto, James. How we doing, lads?
Good, all good. I've been on here for a long while, like, you know. Yeah. So I feel like I've said that before, but
deja vu.
This isn't our second take.
Is it? So but it's good to be back on. I quite enjoy coming on here.
Yeah, well, to be a supporters club has been few and far between this year, but for the next year, 2022, it's going to be a regular. So make sure you guys notifications on, hit the like button, show Robbie how much this show means to you guys. Engage. You know what I'm about anyway. Let's get into it. Yes. We're sitting top 4. Stricto, you know what? I haven't spoken to you in a little while, so I'll start with you.
That's because he's not been here. He's been late, hasn't he?
This is our second take. It's about 2 hours after the recording schedule was placed, but
so
we're here.
You, Stricto, feel free to say whatever you like. And better be worthwhile.
Yes, what's going on, Tex, man? Long time, man.
Yeah, long time. It's good that we're all smiling. It's good that we're all smiling.
Yeah, it's
it's best way to go into the new year, smiling, top 4, possibly even top 3. Who knows? The teams around us.
I don't know about that yet.
Wait. I've looked at Chelsea. Of course, they got the win the other day, but they're not really being convincing either. If we carry on how we're going on and they carry on how they're carrying on, there's a possibility that, we win our game next game. We're 3 points behind them.
What's the next game?
What's the next game? Man City.
Only Man City.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. But let's be optimistic, man.
You know what? Someone on the full-time reaction the other day said, if ifs was spliffs, would all be high right now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was such a great quote.
That's what just came to mind just now when you said, if we win our next game.
Listen. As long as we don't get thumped. But listen, all around, I don't think third place is looking crazy. If you're sitting 8th and you're saying, let's get third place, then that's a bit crazy, but you're in and amongst it.
So are you looking more above than you are below at the moment? Yeah?
Of course. Why not? We're not far off it. When you're sitting 6th, you're looking at 5th. When you're sitting 4th, you should be looking at 3rd. If you're sitting 2nd, like how Liverpool and Chelsea are, they're looking at 1st. That's how it should be. Where else are we meant to look?
Yeah, you know what? I'll challenge that and say, because of the way Arsenal have been over the last 10 years, I struggle to completely look above when we're in a position now that we haven't been in a couple of years, especially during this period. And I'm more weary about the teams below us than I am of trying to catch the teams above us.
Yeah.
I'd rather solidify this 4th spot now, get past the West Ham, Man United, Tottenham's. Yeah. Then look above and maybe dream of a top 3.
I love Stricto's
optimism.
Confidence.
Optimism.
And I'll tell you what, that's been brought on from the last 3 performances and the way we've actually gone about getting those results as well. The performances have been really key, as well as the results. Obviously, I thought we was always going to get these results, if I'll be honest, but it's the manner of what we've done it. Gives us confidence going into Manchester City. I'll tell you what, after the Everton game, sitting in this studio after that game, if you'd have said to me, do you think you've got a chance of beating Manchester City? I would have laughed at you. But now I feel that we have got a chance because we're playing really, really well. We've had a nice few days off now, which was unexpected. So I do get the optimism. And listen, watching the games over the bank holiday, over this holiday period, I watched Manchester United. I weren't that impressed with them. I've watched Spurs the other day. Everybody's going on about how good they're going to be. I wasn't that impressed. Yeah. So we're in that little facility of we're in the conversation of getting top 4. There are ifs and buts with us as well. So there's no standout one that you'd turn around and go, do you know what? I'm gonna. It's Man United. I'm gonna nail it on them. It's Arsenal or it's Spurs or it's West Ham. They've all got their flaws. We've all got our flaws, and it's just now I think is the one that's going to be consistent from now to the end of the season.
Yeah,
could be the one.
I am looking below. I am, again, love the optimism, but and that's the right mentality, by the way.
It is the right. No, 100%.
I've changed it. I've
changed your mind now.
No, I was in like how usually I am. I'm the my pessimism is my optimism, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah? And I think over like Lee said, I think it's just the performances of starting to convince me. I've seen a change in mentality somehow. I've seen that whole everyone's kind of on the same, everyone's moving together, and I'm seeing energy.
Yeah.
I think that's something we've lacked, because sometimes you kind of watch us, you think, why are we not pressing why are we not pressing collectively? But now you're seeing it, and we're actually pressing with sense. It's not just pressing for the sake of it, but we're pressing as a unit to actually achieve something. So that has given me, some sort of optimism.
Something to hold on to.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, come Man City, come that day, it might be a different thing. But so far, right now, listen, why not look up? The other teams around us aren't really doing too well either.
Even with Man City, listen, there's been jokes made this season that the free hit and whatever else. When you look at Man City, it won't define our season. I'm not going to call it a free hit, but it won't define our season. Now we can go in optimistic, like you said after the Everton game. If you asked me about this Man City game, I would have laughed. If you asked me about top 4, I would have laughed. But we sit here in top 4. Past Christmas Day, moving into New Year's, we will be top 4, regardless of that Man City result.
Yeah.
We will be top 4. Then we have a crunch game against Tottenham coming up after that, which I look at as more of a indicator of what could potentially happen come end of the season. You mentioned a few teams and a few flaws. A few weeks ago, before we beat West Ham, going into that game, everyone was saying West Ham deserved to be top 4 because they beat Liverpool, they beat Chelsea, and they was quite solid. A few weeks gone now.
Listen, we beat West Ham convincingly as well. And I think that's the point. What Stricto's saying and what I'm saying to a certain degree as well, is it's been the manner of what we've done. I've seen West Ham, go Spurs in the FA in the League Cup. It was a tough, tight game. I thought, if I'd be honest, West Ham were the better side. Tottenham got the result done. They had chances against Tottenham. When they come over here in the league, we kept him at arm's length, and there was certain things in that I was quite pleased with, and I've got a little bit of optimism. At the end of it, what I feel over these last couple of games in particular now is that, I did go to Liverpool thinking that we weren't going to win the game. Going to Manchester City not thinking we was going to. I actually went to Man United not confident that we was going to win the game, even though I thought we put in a decent enough performance, but we still lost. But all of a sudden, I think the way, and it's what Stricto was saying, the way we've gone about it that has now given me, you know what? I'm not saying that we're going to beat Manchester City, but you know what? I feel we've got a chance. Why not? I'm not looking at this game and thinking, oh, I'm dreading it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it to see where we are, and can we take on one of the big guns at home and beat them? I like to, I want to see us, and I think we've got a chance. Yeah,
because going into that Liverpool game, we was chasing something. Going into this Man City game, we're holding on to something, and I think that's very, very different place to be. James, what do you put this down to? Because like Lee said, after the Everton game, me and Lee in particular, we was here, we was angry, asked about Arteta. I think my quote was he's finished, or it's time. I think Lee said similar, but here we are, both of us, a few weeks later, a bit more optimistic. Going into the new year, top 4. What's changed? What is changing?
I was like you two, maybe not quite as vocal, but on the fan cam as well. Do you remember you interviewed me? I was really disappointed, and I made the point. I said, United have the best players, Spurs are the best manager, West Ham are just doing what they do, Leicester are an amazingly run club. What do Arsenal have? In this race of top 4, what's the thing we can pin our hopes on? I actually think since that day, we've been, and really across the season, if you're looking at the whole picture, we've probably been the most impressive of the clubs chasing top 4. That we played the best football, we scored the most goals, but I think second to West Ham. And actually the football in the last, for the rest of December past Everton has been really, really good. Players have surprised us like Tavares, like White, like Odegaard's form. Ramsdale's a big one.
Tomiyasu,
how can I forget him? So what's changed? I just think something's clicked. I think we're the most enjoyable to watch of the teams going for the top 4, but I'm still so hesitant because players and managers are you can look at the bigger picture, the process, and just what these youngsters are showing, and there's things to get excited about for Arsenal, but I'm kind of more excited about it for the next 2-3 years rather than necessarily this season, which that's not to say we shouldn't get top 4, that's not my aim, it is, but I still think the players United have, Antonio Conte, that will tell over the next 19 games. I think we'll have some more shaky moments, but that's kind of okay. If we can kind of continue the season as we've been going, there's going to be Evertons in there, there's going to be Brentfords, there's going to be moments where you're like, oh, I can't believe we lost, and you start questioning it again. But if we can pretty much put up another 35 points over the next 19, even if that finishes us 5th or 6th, I think you can say that's still a season of progression. Now, every Arsenal fan has their own tether with how long you're willing to wait and whether that's acceptable for it, and that's fair enough, and I get that, but you can't say it's not progress big progress over what we've seen the last couple of years. I've not even answered your question. What's changed? I just think Arteta's got more of his own players and they've got more accustomed to what it is he wants to do, and now we're seeing that come together. I also think personnel changes, and I don't really want to spend much time talking about Aubameyang and this stuff because I think we're really past that and there's no need to go in on it too much. But I do think little tweaks and changes to the 11 that sometimes have been forced on Arteta / sometimes he's made with his signings, I think have really brought it all together in a big way. So yeah, I think there's a lot at play here. But December's been great.
Going into the season, I was asked about where do I think Arsenal will finish and whatnot. And it was hard to pin down a position, and I'd say fifth, anywhere from 5th, 6th to 10th, 11th. That's how I saw it coming in.
Yeah.
Now I sit here and I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm optimistic about top 4 because of where we are and the way other teams have been performing. Are you optimistic or are you confident that we can make top 4?
I'm optimistic. I'm going to be honest. I'd be disappointed if we finish lower than 5th.
Yeah.
That's how I feel now. I think if we was to finish 6th, 7th or 8th, with the way we're playing and the players we've got, I'll be very, very disappointed. I think where we've changed a little bit, I think the Southampton game was a massive game changer for me because I think that I've come to that game after the Everton game thinking that we might just scrape through that game. We cruised it and there was that bit of football from the goalkeeper when we scored. Remember Lacazette scored? I think that was a changing moment. I think that we've grown in confidence. I still think without European football will still be a help to us. I think it is going to be over these next few months, getting coached, getting better trained. And I just think that and I've always said it and I'll say it again, Mikel Arteta is a very, very lucky person in life and everything like that. Martinelli's come around at the right time with you, whether it was forced on him or whatever. He has been the shining light into this game. He's given us energy. He's energised the team. Look at the first 2 goals on against Norwich. He wins the ball back, and then we go on and win and get goals from it. Would Aubameyang do that? It's a lazy little flick out and a free kick given away, and we're giving away goals. There's a purpose. There's a purpose to our play at this moment in time. And I've got to give credit to Arteta for that because, I was doom and gloom. I thought that, I could not see him turning it around. How he has turned it around is a big credit to him and his coaching staff and everybody at the club.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because I didn't see it happening. Yeah. I did not see it happening. I did think we was going to win these games, but the difference between winning these games over these last 4 or 5 games, over that game of 10 games, is we was getting over the line, struggling. There wasn't nothing to think,
hang on to.
It wasn't glamorous.
It wasn't glamorous.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing now is, I've seen Southampton taken to the sword. Nice. I've seen West Ham, not outplayed, but like a real comprehensive performance. Nullified, didn't really cause us any problems. And that was with Antonio in the side. Antonio's going to frighten us all. Didn't do it. Then I've seen us dispatch Leeds. I've seen us dispatch Norwich.
Nice.
Even when you go back Sunderland, rotated the team and dispatched them in the way that we should have done. I see something different. But now, and I'll go on at this, Manchester City and Spurs is a real key 2 games for us, because if we win those games, if we was to lose them games, it'd be, it's the same sort of thing. These 2 games, and I know we keep going on about these 2, but we had those 2 games, Manchester United and Everton were key. We failed. We've got to now put ourselves in a position where these 2 games Let's just please just try and pass.
I went into the United, Everton and Liverpool games away from home thinking if this doesn't go perfectly for us, I just feel like we're going to struggle to score. I don't think if like the script is torn up, Arteta's got another way. And that's kind of what I've seen since Everton, is that we're scoring different types of goals. We look a bit more free-flowing. And if we go a goal down against City at the Emirates, I'm optimistic we can get our foot on the ball and actually start causing them problems. Away from home, Conte's going to make it difficult. We saw how he approached the West Ham game. Liverpool, to be fair, they caused them a lot of problems. Spurs would look quite good there. But I can see us causing them problems. Whether we win or lose the game, I can actually see us looking a threat. And that is the biggest change from the first 14, 15 Premier League games of the season. Since then, I look at us and I think, wow, we actually look like we can score goals again. Now, Arteta made a big point when he arrived. His first signings were Cedric and Mari.
Yeah.
He then had the whole Martinez thing to deal with. He brings in Ramsdale. He brings in Ben White, Gabriel. So he signed 2 centre-backs. He's then signed a new right-back. He's brought in a backup left-back. He's addressed the defence far, even Partey's defensive midfielder. Yeah. He's addressed that area far more than anywhere else. So it kind of makes sense that what we always said over the last 2 years, well, we look a bit better defensively. The numbers maybe don't say it, but you can actually see that Arsenal do look a bit more organised, do look a bit more structured. We won an FA Cup off that foundation. So maybe now he feels a confidence in the defence, and he's going, okay, now let's raise the temperature a little bit going forward.
On one hand, it's 100% right what you're saying. And you know, you have to build a base first to build off of. And we didn't have a base when he come in. Now, in the summer, I was critical about our signings because of the level I thought we was getting. I remember I tweeted out something saying 4th choice, England goalkeeper, 5th choice.
Well, luckily no one reminded you, so you're okay, yeah.
Even if I open it up, I'll probably have a notification about a retweet. But listen, that was what I was seeing. That was facts on paper. And yes, I was wrong to judge off of those facts, which was 4th choice, 5th choice. Because look now, I'm very happy with Ramsdale. I'm extremely happy with Tomiyasu. I'm happy enough with Ben White so far, and so on. Odegaard, Tavares. You know, our signings from the summer have been very well implemented. But on the Martinelli thing, it kind of reminds me about Emile Smith-Rowe last year, and Saka to an extent, where, you know, we had a rough patch. The Chelsea game comes, you know, a lot of people said he was forced into putting them players in, but it clicked at that time. Maybe not clicked enough for us to achieve anything more than 8th, but something changed. And now again, with Martinelli coming in, crucial time, something's changing again. Do you give credit to Arteta for like the Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka development, or are you of the ilk that it's kind of fallen into his lap?
I think, like Lee said, he's like lucky in life, you know, because if you look at some of the games, like they weren't their first choice. Like, he was forced because of injury to bring certain players in. But also, I got to give him the credit, because if you look at, going back on what you said with 4th choice England goalkeeper, 5th choice, whatever. But if you look at how Wenger used to do it back in the day, a lot of the players that Wenger brought in, nobody knew who they were. And they turned out to be great success. Vieira, Vieira's, Henry to a degree, he wasn't the player he was until we brought him. And you can see some of that happening with some of the Arteta players, you know, like Tomiyasu now. If Tomiyasu, let's just say, continues how he is now, how much do you think he's worth at the end of the season? You know, just the way he's playing. Ramsdale, you know, if carries on how he's going on now, if you want to sell him, how much do you think you're getting? Do you know what I mean? So, you know, you got to kind of give him the credit.
100%.
You got to give him the credit for that, because Wenger built a structure off of making these kind of signings. You know, signings that went under the radar.
Wenger came into a good base as well. That defensive base that he had when he came in was like a gold mine, whereas Arteta didn't have that. So
then even more credit to Arteta, because he's had to build and dig for that base, you know. And I kind of look at some of these players and I kind of think, like, you know what? How have you gone under the radar? You know, like Ramsdale, for example, that went on the radar. No one here can tell me that Ramsdale has performed how they thought he would perform. No, he has done more than, I'm sure, even himself.
Above and beyond.
You know, he's just, and one thing with him, he's kind of playing with a freedom. Like, he plays with no pressure on him. You know, like, he just always happy. He's always he's enjoying it. Like I said in my fan cam over the week, he's like the spirit of the fans on the pitch.
And it's not like he settles. He's enjoying it, but in times of need, he's shouting, he's instructing, which shows that I'm happy, but I also know that we need to move on up.
And I think a lot of things like he came from a relegated club, so there's a mentality that he's kind of brought with him. So the positive side of it, for example, the shithousery that he does.
Yeah.
You don't do that playing for a top level team. Like he knows how to waste the correct time.
Yeah.
Because that comes from playing, holding on to a lead, playing for a relegated team, and he's brought that. And we've kind of needed that kind of sensible dark arts.
Yeah, we don't have much of that.
Street level, street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he's brought that in, and that has helped us massively. And those are the things that we criticise when you're bringing this guy from 2 relegated clubs, and he's brought that in and he's turned that into a positive because sometimes we needed that.
Yeah, 100%. And I do want to say Edu is involved in this play. I've been critical of him too. It's just it's mad to me that what I thought was somewhat a poor transfer window is turning out to be somewhat of, let me not say great, but good. In 2019, I thought we had a great window. Tierney, Martinelli, Saliba, Guendouzi,
David Luiz and
Pepe, Luiz. I thought that was a great window on paper. Then we finished 8th twice. So what do I know? This summer, I thought it was a poor window, and here we are in top 4. This is what being a fan is also about. But with Arsenal Football Club, like you mentioned, the Vieiras and the signings that Wenger made that none of us knew about, that became a success. But in between that and now, we had a whole heap of signings that people didn't know about, that didn't make sense, didn't turn out well. So we're very pessimistic. Well, I am very pessimistic in how I look at the windows.
With Wenger, when he first brought in the likes of Vieira, and straight away everybody got on board with that. It was a massive signing. It was a big signing. He followed that up with Lundberg, people like that no one heard.
Anelka, Petit.
Yeah, Petit, guys we never heard of. And people like, like Gramondi that come in and done the job. Just done the job, when you look back on it. I'll tell you, the one thing that you can criticise him about, results coming 8th, Villarreal, whatever you wanted that, the one thing that they've consistently got right, I think, is a transfer window. I think, I've never heard of Gabriel before he came in.
No.
What a find! Yeah. You know what I mean? And you can go with Tomiyasu. I never heard of Tomiyasu.
Apparently, Sky didn't hear about him either.
So whoever that was,
I love you.
You have to take some real credit for that, because I'll tell you what, Tomiyasu, by the way, has been a proper right back. Yeah. We haven't seen since Sanya.
Yeah.
Right. That's how good he has been. You know what I mean? I know it's only 6 months or whatever, but not only is he not known to him, he's hit the ground running, and potentially, if Arsenal are to go and do a lot better, he's got to improve. But he's got the ceiling to improve. Same as Ben White. We've all heard about Ben White. Tavares. I've never heard of him, but I've been impressed.
Yeah.
I've been and Ramsdale, I have obviously heard of, but whoever actually. I'd love to know who actually thought, that's the goalkeeper I'm putting, because what I'm seeing of Ramsdale, I didn't see what I'm seeing. Not just his goalkeeping, his ability of his goalkeeping, the passing from out the back, and also leadership. Yeah. He is a leader. And and what I've liked about that is that if there is a rollicking to be, I always go back to this, a probably boring story, when I went to Sheffield United before lockdown. We conceded on a header from 5 yards, and I was right behind the goal. I never heard one player moan.
Right.
I never heard, they just accepted it, walked back to the halfway line. If something needs to be rollicks, he rollicks. But if there's something to be praised, he praised. Mm-hmm. And this is a goalkeeper, along with our back four now, that are in their early 20s, that if it all goes right, 5, 6, 7 years of these guys. Yeah. So,
it's funny because fans, we're halfway through. This could still go very right or very wrong from here.
100%.
And Arsenal fans would have every right, genuinely, because of the expectations of a club, because of season ticket prices, because of the ownership, and there's a million reasons why Arsenal fans would have every right at the end of this season, if we finished 5th, a point off top 4, to still say, well, hold on, £150 million spent in the summer, 2 years with Mikel Arteta, why on earth have we not got top 4? Why did Spurs get it? Because they went and got Conte, and they made the big club move. United, who brought in Varane, Ronaldo, why are we not competing? They had every right to ask those questions. So I think we're still in a situation where we're going to learn so much more from the next 5 games, let alone the next 19 and the rest of the season. But where I can very confidently, and say this right now, regardless of what happens between now and the end of the season, if Arteta were to leave for whatever reasons, results or Barcelona pick him up or whatever, the next manager will thank him so much for the work he did in terms of the culture change, which is something we were all screaming for. So title of your fan camp, Turkish.
Which I got a lot of stick for, by the way.
Really?
Because apparently I'm an Arteta hater, so I can't admit that I'm seeing a new culture at the side. And this culture in the fan base is crazy.
It's unbelievable.
The greatest thing about football, right, is that your opinion can be changed. That's the greatest thing about it.
And you should be open for it to change. Otherwise,
otherwise you've got an agenda.
You're going to be wrong and strong at times.
I'm going to be really honest with Mikel Arteta now. I'm not going to, if he goes and loses his next 2 games, I'm not going to, whether I think he's going to be out, I'm going to go, right, no. I'm going to wait to the end of the season and I'm going to see where you are at the end of the season, and then that is it.
I think his first 19 games buys him that.
I think the last 4 or 5 games have bought him that, you know, because it's not just about winning; it's the way he's won them. And so, you know, I'm going to say this now. I want to be proven wrong. Thank you very much. Prove me wrong. And make me look stupid.
Yeah.
Do you know what? And I'm happy for that, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest, after this Everton game, I didn't see it. But that's the greatest thing about football, that he can now change it, and the way he's going to change it is by winning games. And where we'll be at the end of the season, I'm sorry, but if we have this run and at the end of it we come 8th, at the end of it, I'm going to have to say that's a big foul. Yeah. You know, so, but at this moment in time, as James has quite rightly said, we could still, with all this optimism we're showing here, we could still come 8th, but we could still come 4th. Yeah.
But it also doesn't, sorry, Stricto, but my point really is that it doesn't, let's say at the end of this season, it kind of derails and we finish 8th. Now there's a decision for the Cronkies and Edu and whoever to make about whether, you know, Arteta therefore is the right coach. Now, what he's done behind the scenes is kind of like the work of a great sporting director or director of football. You know, he's kind of addressed the staff situation, him and Edu, when it comes to the scouting. Listen, I know there's a lot of criticism about some of the scouts we lost, and I understood. But I was also thinking, when was the last time we had a really good transfer window? So I don't really have a massive issue with it. I was happy to see some change. The academy's looking a lot better under Per Mertesacker. We've got players who are developing really nicely, and we are excited about seeing the first team again. And the players in this first team now, I'm excited about their development and their future, to the point where if it goes a bit wrong this season, I don't believe another manager can't, you know, take them, dust them down and go, let's go, and they'll develop even further. I've got a lot of faith, and I think that a lot of these players have quite a few years with me now to kind of, before I start getting to that point where I'm like, you know, they're not good, whatever. They bought that because of how great they've done under Arteta over this calendar year. So I think he's done some superb work behind the scenes, that whatever happens on the pitch between now and the end of the season, that's not really going to be tainted. It's just about him proving now whether he's the right coach and the right manager. Now, the players believe in him, because every time an Everton happens, every time a Liverpool happens, every time a Brentford, Chelsea, City happens, they bounce back for him. Every time they bounce back for him.
The situation happens.
The Aubameyang situation, Boxing Day a year ago, you've got to beat Chelsea. That's a tough task, and they did it 3-1. So they've bounced. So they clearly believe in him, and that's a big thing that transmits to the fans. You know, if I believe in Saka, I love Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli, and they're all turning up for Arteta, I feel like I'm turning up for Arteta. Do you know what I mean? So, a long way to go, but I just want to make the point that him and Edu have done some really good work off the pitch. That even today, regardless of what happens, I can give them immense credit for some of the things they're addressing in the club. And, dare I say, I think, and we don't really know, I think Josh Kroenke's maybe slightly more, I think he's slightly more involved, let's just say. I think, and I don't know anything, obviously, I think him and Stan have had a word, and I think Josh has gone, I know you don't really care, let me care for it. And you hear Arteta and Edu and how they work very closely with him. He's in London a lot more, he's going to games a lot more. I just think that careful, more watchful eye. I heard rumours, and it is only rumours, that he had a bit of involvement in the Aubameyang thing. That is just some Twitter rumour, but you never know, no smoke without fire. I just wonder whether that's played a part as well. So credit to the behind the scenes guys. There's some very good stuff that's been done.
I mean, like, you know, there's that saying, when the facts change, I change. You know what I'm saying? And the facts are changing. The facts is we are playing fluid football. The fact is we are getting results. Performances are improving. So, you know, we're fourth, you know, and when like people like, I see people's tweets and like comments, Stricto's delusional, flip-flopping. Bro, it's just the facts are changing. It would be an agenda if I carried on with Arteta out because I said one thing, because I said it and I don't want to change my position. That would be an agenda. There's a lot of people who hold on to these agendas because they want to be proven right and would rather die on that hill of being proven right. I'm not that way. Like, I kind of look at the bigger picture. At the time when I was Arteta out, we just came out of Europe. Did we even register a shot on target?
Put up a fight,
We didn't put up a fight.
Tactics were a bit messy. False nine and the left back situation.
Right.
So
you can look at all these things and you can squarely put it on the manager, right? I mean, you put on the players as well, but ultimately it's the manager's tactics, right?
Yeah.
And then you come back and you finished 8th, and then you finished 8th again. You're like, hold on, what's going on here? Like, the same man is in charge and the same man isn't getting the results. Now you twist it round 360. The same man's getting the results. The same man's getting the tactics right. The same man's pulling us up the table. Why shouldn't your mind change? I have no agenda. My only so-called agenda, you would say, is to see my team do great, do better. That is all I care about. And if that means Arteta is, if Arteta is the man doing that, then I'm behind him.
yeah.
Simple as that. That's my only agenda, is I'm behind the betterment of my club and my team. We spend a lot of money as fans and supporters. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time. There's times when you don't get home.
Time is money.
And time is money. There's times when you don't get home till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. because you've gone to an away match. You ain't spent time with your family. I'm emotionally involved. Do you understand? So when people use those little flip-flop, people are sat at home who ain't even, not trying to get at anyone, but a lot of armchair supporters who ain't really investing in anything other than having internet and have Wi-Fi to fucking, can I ever swear? It was too late.
You can, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But all they got is Wi-Fi to comment nonsense, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Currently, there's some confidence that I have right now, and I haven't had this confidence in a while. We lost to Everton, right? And I was so scared of that Everton defeat because I thought in the long term that would derail the mentality. Because we've seen us, we lose, we don't have that wounded animal mentality going into the next game. We just tend to just have a victim mentality.
Whimper.
We just whimper. Do you know what I'm saying? But that mentality changed straight away next game.
Yeah. And
then games following. And now I'm just thinking to myself, the mentality is starting to change. I haven't seen that in a long, long time. Since Wenger left, in fact, even just before Wenger left, we had that victim mentality, and I'm starting to see that kind of getting moved to the side a bit. And going into Man City now, you can kind of say, all right, cool. Like, there's no expectations here, which is a great thing to have. Which is, you remember in seasons past, this time we usually come out of every competition there is this time. But now there's no expectations, which is a great thing because they've bought that.
Yeah.
I challenge everyone with this agenda thing. You make such a good point, and just challenge everyone watching this or whatever to just, if your mind is going to drastically change on something, that's so fine. As you said, facts change. Just consider to yourself why that's changed. So I think a lot of our minds have changed on Arteta because the football's better. It's so much better than we've ever seen it under Arteta.
Are you eliminating that it might change again?
Well, that's my point. It could change.
Exactly.
It could change back. So my point is just understand why. And the best example I can give is I had a lot of people on me about the Xhaka thing because I was really complimentary of his performance against Norwich. But I didn't just go, Xhaka played really well today, I love him. No, because I'm still very aware of the past and my previous thoughts and feelings. But I also know why I felt differently after Norwich. He's playing higher up the pitch. He's not left in midfield alone. He was doing the kind of shithousery, but in a good way. In a way that was on the edge, but it gave Arsenal an edge, and I really liked it. And I was able to just say, I really enjoyed Xhaka's performance. I hope he continues it, but this is why. If I just turned up and gone, love Xhaka today, answer to our midfield, but you weren't saying that you weren't willing to back him during the bad patch. So why not? Like, I just challenge everyone just to stop and think. If your mind's going to change on something, it's so fair. It's so fair.
It's okay.
It's
It's
football.
okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. It's okay.
But I just challenge everyone to understand like why. Because I think flip flopping is when you just go, we won, yay, Arteta in. We lost, oh, Arteta out. Like there's got to be an understanding behind why we're feeling the way we're feeling. I think we express it, but people just get a little bit caught up in, you at surface level, you think this and it wasn't this before, so
how do you feel now?
Exactly. It's
But they don't really want to know how you feel now.
Bloody lovely.
Yeah, but they don't want to
really
hear that.
Exactly. I don't care.
They want egg on your face, but
listen, the feeling that I had against Everton, right, when I was in here, like, I was down.
Vexed.
I put that on Mikel Arteta. I blamed him for my bad feelings. Now I'm bloody jolly and I'm enjoying watching Arsenal play football. So I'm going to put that on Arteta as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's
how it is. But that game against Everton, I was so infuriated by the performance and let down by everybody, not him, the players, everything. What a fantastic response, and I'm going to give Mikel a little bit of credit on it. He went and played exactly the same team against Southampton. You know what I mean? Like, now he could have dropped 6 or 7 in there, but he chose the same team, and I thought, you know what, that gives you, that's a bit of balls. It's a bit of, So I like being proven wrong. Because you know what, football is about opinions, and all I want is to go and watch Arsenal, be entertained. Compete and win games. I'm not saying that I want us to go and win titles every season, but I do want us. I want to go when I pay. Like I know it's going to be like minimum of £75 on Saturday to go and watch that game. You feel you want to when you're putting your money across the table. You feel like you want to have a chance of winning a game of football. Not
we feel like you want to do it. I want to get. I want to because I love you, Arsenal.
There's been too many times. Not just under Mikel, but too many times in the last year, I've been putting my money away knowing that we're not going to win the game of football. Like, people go on about the Liverpool game. I knew when I went up to Liverpool, we weren't going to win that game. I'm fed up.
of feeling like
that now. But these last 3 or 4 games, whether I'm being mad or a flip-flop or whatever, the way we've played gives me confidence, thinking, do you know what? We might beat City. Thank you very much. So there's someone somewhere is doing a good job.
Because you make a good point with that feeling going to away games. I've mentioned it on my channel a lot, and over the last 5, maybe 10 years, going to away games, I've already got that feeling that we're not going to come back with much.
You come away from it and go, oh well.
Yeah.
Oh, you knew we weren't going to win anyway, and people are making excuses on the way out before they've even got to the van.
Yeah, and that goes a long way, because growing up away games, it was like, let's fucking do them, let's leave there with 3 points, and it was very much like the day started as soon as you woke up, good spirits. But in recent times, you wake up for an away game, it's all right, boys.
Why am I doing this for myself?
Stockport away, tricky place to go. And you're thinking, all respect to Stockport, you start telling yourself all these things. It's a hard place to go. That and
Listen,
my missus doesn't understand why I put myself through it.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say.
She's like, you're getting in your car, going somewhere far, just so that when I call you, you're not going to pick up my call. Not that I'm doing anything mad, but like, you're going to be in a mood. Why are you putting yourself through?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I used to come home, like, before my dad died, like, we'd turn around and go, what are you doing, son? Like, why are you putting yourself through it? But you do.
You do.
Because we love Arsenal.
Because you love it.
We love
but listen,
Arsenal.
I said to my dad, I used to say, well, you used to do it. He said, I learnt my lesson, and I like, you know what I mean? But, like, but the fact of the matter is, he used to do it as well. It's something that you do. But listen, I've supported Arsenal when they weren't great before, and I'll support them when they ain't again. But what you want, I don't care. Even through the dark days of Arsenal, I always felt, particularly when I was going to a home game, that we were going to win games of football. That has been taken away from me over the last year. Like, but I didn't think when we played Chelsea, we was going to go and beat Chelsea that day. You know what I mean? Like, and you start thinking, well, I'm going to start getting into that mentality, so you don't get annoyed. Now, the game against Everton, I got really angry and everything for that, because I thought
that was
the expectation of me has come back alive. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you think, so try to dampen down your expectations. But my expectations, I can't help it, have been taken up a level because of our performances.
And it's natural. It's a natural feeling, and I think it's fair to say all four of us here would rather be wrong and happy than right and unhappy.
Bro, egg on my face all day long. Give it to me.
And I think, and it's the boring bit no one wants to hear. The whole, let's just calm a little.
Take a step back.
I was, after the Everton game, I said, you know, when it came to Arteta, would I replace him with a guaranteed better manager? I think some of the managers I said were Ten Hag. I threw Brendan Rodgers, and people kept going, Brendan Rodgers, you know, he's a bottler. Listen, he's finished 5th 2 years in a row with Leicester, without the same budget or the same players. He's just beaten Liverpool, and at the time, but you know, he showed yesterday with no fit centre backs, he's still a very good manager. And I think we're just so quick to dismiss things and big up other things, and we still lost 6 games this season, which for me is far too much when those 6 are Everton away, we shouldn't have lost. United away, we shouldn't have lost. By shouldn't, I mean
draw.
Expectation, not performance. Brentford, you know, then okay, I can look past Liverpool, Chelsea, City, especially because of the circumstances for the latter two. But you know, there's still been signs and moments that are really concerning, if I'm honest. Moments. Now, it's not been the season. The whole half season has been very encouraging, impressive. But there have been moments that have been very worrying. Now,
it would be silly to ignore them as well, because the club has ignored moments like that over the past 10 years. That's led to Wenger being vilified. That's led to players being vilified. That's led to the club being vilified. So
now you can explain it. Yeah. You can explain it. Very young team. Very young team. I think we've put out something like the 16 youngest starting 11s this season. So, you know, we are consistently going out the youngest team of the weekend. Yeah. That plays a part. You know, people talk about, but age doesn't matter, it's about quality. It's like, no, it matters. Of course it matters. These young players, the pressure on their shoulders, playing Premier League football, a lot of them for their first year, and that matters. But I think generally, can't really remember the point I was making, I just think we still need to just stop and just take it game by game, not lose our heads too much. Go on, Lee.
You are right what you're saying about taking a game, but I'm telling you this now, I'm not taking another 60 feet this season.
No, exactly my point. Exactly.
Like, you know, 60 feet the first half of the season, that's got to be backed up with a 3 or 4. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like at most, you know what I mean? That's what I want to be seeing. Yeah. You know, and that's I don't think like 60 feet or 12 over a season is acceptable.
The 60 feet. The 6 defeats include trips to Old Trafford, Anfield, Goodison, the Etihad.
So you should get better in this.
Realistically, you're expecting to lose 4 of those. Yeah. Then Brentford and Chelsea game at home. COVID and whatever. Like, you can scrape and make some excuses. You can scrape and understand it. But we can't have another second half of the season.
No, of course.
It's up to them to now show that them excuses for those games are, they wasn't excuses, they were legitimate reasons more so than an excuse.
But, sorry, and I keep interrupting, I'm so sorry. Fine. We've also won 1 game less than Liverpool and Chelsea in the opening 19.
Hence why Stricto started with, maybe top 3.
That's pretty extraordinary.
That's pretty good.
We've won 1 game less. And remember, when they're in a title race, draws will feel like defeats to them. Now I know some will be at the Etihad or whatever, but they're looking at wins. We've won 1 game less. That's pretty mad as well. So if he goes and wins another 11, 22 wins, you're thinking that's probably going to get you top 4.
And
so
on that top 4 point and looking above more so than looking below, January's around the corner. January transfer window's around the corner. How big, Stricto, let's start with you. How big is this window? Because for me, it's a very big window, because I've seen Arsenal in seasons gone by under Wenger especially, where January will come and we'll need something to get over the line. Maybe whether it's top 4, maybe whether it's a title challenge like Leicester year, maybe we needed a striker and we bought a Kim Kallstrom. I want Kroenke to learn off this and the club to learn off this and understand now we're actually heading into January in a position that none of us would be sitting here saying we would have been heading into January in 4th. What are you going to do now? You mentioned Josh Kroenke and how you feel like he might have changed, and he's been more vocal in the past couple of years compared to the 10 before that. He says judge us since we fully took over in 2018, even though I'm against that. I think we judge them from majority ownership, but it is what it is. Since they've taken over, they've spent money. 2 years finishing 8th. This year is a big one because, like you said, if this year ends and we finish 8th, then you might as well just chuck it in the bin. But January now is key for me because if we get one signing in a crucial area, midfield or striker, that optimism about top 4 might start becoming confidence in top 4. What do you feel about the January window? Is it as big as I'm making out, or?
I think one main, like, if you look over like the last 15 years or like, last 10, 15 years, going into January has always been difficult because we've never been in a good negotiating hand because we've been always kind of been desperate for players, right? And that sometimes has put us off buying the players that that we actually needed because we were desperate, right? But I think this time around it's like we're sitting all right, we're in good negotiating hand.
Yeah.
Like we can kind of go in for a player we want and kind of like not look desperate, and and I think we do. Of course, we do need players. There's always room for improvement. I personally think our midfield probably is an area that we kind of lack in. Like, I mean, Thomas Partey, I'll be honest, haven't really met the levels that he was at Atletico, that I expected from him. So I think that area's got to be addressed. And
more competition might liven him up.
There you go. And I think and also you got to remember he's going away for the African nations.
El Nene as well.
El Nene is going away for the African nations.
Going Roma.
So that area is thin.
Who does that leave? Lokonga, Xhaka, and Patino.
No, there was one more.
Playing there, I don't know.
But do you know what I mean?
Light is
It's light. So I think that area needs to be addressed, and I think the most important thing is we are in a good negotiating hand, so we can kind of go out and stroll and kind of get who we want at the price we want them for. Which we haven't had the luxury of doing.
So if you had to pick central midfielder or striker, you're going central midfielder, yeah?
Yeah, I think like you take away Partey.
Gaping, whereas
it's gaping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But whereas up front, you take away Abba, as you can see, we're still doing all right.
Yeah.
If you take away Laka, you can kind of put Martinelli up, up centre and then move Smith Rowe in there. Yeah, so it's not the worst. It's not up front's not the worst. I think the middle.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer because then I look at up front and I say to myself, young players for a 38-game season, in seasons gone past at other clubs, our club, you've seen that, tired legs towards the end of the season, the productivity doesn't maintain because they're still young, they're still developing, they're getting used to the game time and whatnot. So, I'm all for buying a central midfielder, but I can also see a cause for concern maybe in the goal scoring department come February, March, April times where they're crucial. That's why there's no right or wrong. I want a central midfielder, I want a striker. I know they're not going to get both, but I just want to lean on to
us. I think the task for Arsenal this January, and maybe this is my kind of expectation of what we've done over the years, is kind of clouding it. Maybe my standards are lowered because of it. Sure, I'd love Arsenal to go out there and buy two £30 million players, a midfielder and a striker, and say, top 4 is on and we're going to go grab it. I just feel that's a little unrealistic. They spent more in the summer than we expected. The January window is always difficult to negotiate in, and actually I think Arteta's shown that this would be a third January window. They're not really going to do business they don't really want to do. They're not going to do it because they have to. They'll do it because it's the right person. I think January, the task is, can you be shrewd and bring in, like Cavani at United, can you bring in a Cavani, someone who scores goals, good off the bench, really good mentality and attitude, experienced head, going to do a job for 6 months. Now, I know that's not really what people want to see, but remember, everyone really went in on United for the Cavani sign. Oh, no, I wanted him. He's probably been their best striker, like their best out-and-out number 9 for the last 3 years, or Ronaldo, but sure. I just wonder whether there's a deal in there for a midfielder. I personally don't want him, but I understand why people are talking about Ramsey on loan. I just wonder whether there's like a sensible deal that doesn't compromise our long term, but you understand how they can come in and for the 6 months bolster us a little bit. Calm head, good influence, doesn't disrupt the team, buys into everything. That's very hard to do. Odegaard wasn't, when we got him in January, well, Matt Ryan's a good example, actually, as a backup keeper. Odegaard wasn't the experienced head, but he was a player who played a lot of senior football for a couple of years and addressed a position, and it made sense. Like, it was a very shrewd bit of business. Just wonder if there's anyone out there in those positions.
I don't want to be in March again, and I felt this before in March again, saying to myself, oh, in January you lot should have did this. I just don't want to be in that position because they've done great so far. Listen, I've been very critical of the club in the past, you lot all know that. But Edu and Arteta so far this season, with what they've done in the summer, it's going very well. I didn't expect to be fourth, we're fourth. But now January's here and it's another chance to maybe take the necessary risk to iron out the rest of the season and potentially get that. Edu at the beginning of the season didn't pin down a target. Maybe that's because he didn't know what to expect from this season. But surely 19 games in, you're fourth in the league. You look at your competition, West Ham, Man United, Tottenham, floors all about. Surely now you assess it a bit differently and say, minimum target has to be top 6 from here. But as an ownership, as a club, have we ever taken that necessary risk in January, whether it's paying off over the odds or whether it's, you know, just doing something out of the ordinary for Arsenal to just get us over the line, where in May, we look at the player we signed in January and said, that helped us.
Bruno Fernandes was that for Man United.
Exactly, and that was it. Odegaard was a good signing for us in January when we needed that little bit of creativity. And listen, I don't think that these other teams are going to be sitting on their laurels as well, because I think that West Ham, I still think are a very, very good bet.
They're going to get Lingard, isn't it?
If they get 1 or 2 players, they get Lingard, get a couple more players, that will push them up again, like, you know. So if we stand still, we could actually get caught.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. If there's one thing I'm confident about is what we've been doing in the transfer window over the last couple of years. We've done pretty well. So let's see what they're going to do. Yeah. They must have some sort of plan for a midfield player if they're prepared to let Maitland-Niles go. And I've always said this with Arsenal, whether you like it or not, they seem to have a plan with the transfer window and what to do with it. Last season, it was Odegaard, you know what I mean, and look what's happened with that. So that's been a good move. Yeah. So I think that maybe they will go down with a 1 or 2 things. Someone like a Ramsey, maybe it's someone like that. Good attitude. You know he's got a good attitude because he's been here before. I don't know, but like some of that ilk. And again, I'll go on to it. It may be someone we don't know, but.
Yeah, we didn't know much of them in the summer, and they've worked out well. Like you said, we've got to give credit to Arteta and Edu, and even me now. If they sign a player that I'm wary about, I'm more open to giving it a chance because of what they've done in the summer, and that's what time does. That's what, you know, things like that does. Let us know in the comments as well. January window, striker, central midfielder. Which position would you go for? Which players would you go for? Let us know some names. Before we round it up, one last question. To end on a positive, well, it's been quite a positive show. To end on a big positive, player of the season so far, I'm going to start. And I'm going to say, for me, Tomiyasu. Unsung hero so far, but the way he's come in, he's shown leadership at a young age. He's solid, he's efficient, he's shown recovery pace. Aerially, a beast. In duels, he's a beast. So for me...
Two-footed.
Yeah, two-footed, and that helps so much. When he's behind Saka, that helps Saka a lot too. So for me, Tomiyasu, but it's tight, you know. Emil Smith-Rowe's in there, Odegaard recently shot up, Ramsdale obviously, he's a shot. There's a few in there, but I'm going to go for Tommy.
I think I'm in agreement with you, and also because unlike the other players, he's never played in the Prem. Zero experience in the Prem, and in a pivotal area, you know, like we've had
an area that's given us headache for years,
like with no paracetamol around.
Please, where was the paracetamol when Bellerin was bombing up and down that right hand side?
I think up until today, I actually forgot we had Bellerin still on our books. That's how good Tomiyasu is. That name hasn't even crossed my mind. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's just, for me, he's just coming. I'm so confident when anyone is attacking his side that he's going to put in challenge. He's going to, like you said, efficient. He's going to come out victorious. He's gonna create something. He's going to stop an attack. I'm so confident. I was never that with Bellerin.
Never.
People always talked about his pace and whatnot. But what use is your pace if you've got no sense?
And Tomiyasu has a lot of sense.
His IQ is crazy. His IQ down that side is crazy. And considering like he's a player that Sky Sports disrespected, no one even knew of him. You could say rightfully so. You've never heard of a player, but he's come in and he's elevated us. He's definitely my player of the season so far.
Yeah, I'm sure they've heard of him now. James?
Yeah, big up Tomiyasu, but mine is Gabriel.
That's a fair one.
Me and Lee,
Oh, you're with Gabriel as well?
Yeah, I'm with Gabriel as well,
I just think, I don't know how to explain it.
That's a big shout though. You know, that's a fair shout.
I just think he's just got like, I don't know how to say it without sounding really weird. He just has this aura, like this presence, this like, and I said it in my fan cam after Norwich, there was one point they had a 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, they were running at us, so we kind of got a bit picked off. But you were like, oh, it's Gabriel there, so it's kind of fine. And when we lost 4-0 at Anfield, no one really wanted to say it. Salah didn't actually have a great game. Tavares and Gabriel did a good job down that side. But there were a few one-on-ones where it really opened up. And Gabriel rose to it and didn't, I think won all his duels against him. And he's just got, since he's come in and formed a really great partnership with Ben White, may I say, they complement each other really well. But Gabriel's just been, leader, but just that composure. Like, I don't think you can underestimate how much Partey, Xhaka and the youngsters, how they can do their thing because they know there's Gabriel behind. And I'd also add how much Gabriel and White can do their thing because there's Ramsdale behind. And so these foundations are so important. But I think he sets the tone a lot more than people think for how we play and our better performances. I've just loved him. I remember the Villa game, early scrap. No, we're not having it today. And I just love him. Harry Kane doesn't get a sniff in the North London derby. He's just been
definitely
immense.
Increased his presence this year. That's for sure.
With me, I think like the first 3 games we were shambolic. He comes in and steadies the ship. What I like about him is that we can push up because we don't get hit on the counter attack because he's got the pace to get back. Where for the first time in a very, very long while, we've got a proper central defender. Someone that can defend, has got pace, got power. He ticks all the boxes that we wanted.
And got sense.
A lot,
and he's got that little
so
bit
much
of
sense.
little bit of Devlin. He's got that little bit of Devlin, and he can play as well. And I think he's got a good partnership with Ben White. Tommy Essel's been fantastic as well. Has got to be said. And so Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe has, been the shining light as the attacking sense. But I think it's been built on our defensive unit, and I just think that Gabriel's just shaded it for me.
I think that's fair, and that roundup was good. Tommy, Gabriel, and then Emile Smith Rowe. I'd say top 3 with Ramsdale knocking firmly on that door. It's mad.
I put this question out on Twitter. I asked people their top 5 because it was so hard, and everyone was sending in. Also, some people had Ben White in there, some had Odegaard, had some Lacazette, and you're thinking actually, well, if you just take the average of their performances, Lacazette does deserve a shout. So loads of players have been absolutely terrific.
Odegaard's been. Different class. Last 4 or 5 games.
Odegaard.
Because he's his class.
Martin then. The last few games he's really come on, but I think he was patchy at times. I thought had a very good game against Spurs.
Have we said Saka? Sorry.
There's another one.
Saka's
his response from the Euros and all that, unbelievable.
Again, he's been on a slow burner, but he's burning lovely now. So,
and I'd love to include Martinelli in that, but like we just talked about, it's only been the last few games for him. Hopefully, end of the season, Martinelli's in with a shout there.
Listen, if we're talking about bringing in Martinelli into the equation, we're bringing Odegaard into the equation, and all these guys carry on with doing what they're doing.
Then we'll be here at the end of the season.
It's a great shout that you can have 4, 5, 6 players.
Yeah, and we haven't had that for a very, very long time.
That itself, like, the moment he said Gabriel, I was like, oh yeah.
Same.
Like, I was damn, I forgot about Gabriel. And then, Ben White, oh yeah. Ramsdale, oh yeah. Like, Bear, oh yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? We haven't had that in so long.
So
like, it's felt like for so long we've played with six players.
Yeah, we haven't been happy with the squad for a long time.
Do you know what I mean?
Who are our top 5 players last season?
Don't even ask me that question. I wanted to end on a positive, James, and you're trying to drag me back to that.
That's kind of the point. Last year we couldn't name
5. Now you've got
2 or 3.
Yeah, we'll be Emile Smith Rowe Saka last season, isn't it?
Like, Tini was always named. But then Tavares comes in and you're like, how the hell is Tini getting back in the team?
Yeah, people start questioning
do
that.
you know what I mean? That is how happy I am, how good we are so far. That you can name at least 5, 6, 7 players. Like,
keep this going on.
Please
keep this going.
James, Stricto, Lee, thanks for coming down. Hope you guys have enjoyed another supporters club. A couple Tomiyasu votes here and a couple Gabriel votes. Who's been your player of the season so far? Again, let us know in the comments below. Before you leave, hit the like button, share it, tag us, do all of that. I'll repost it, people. Love for the love as always. And on to Man City next. Come on, Arsenal.
Come on!